Shashi Tharoor's camp has essentially complained to the election authority about alleged violations of voting guidelines as well as management of booths during the voting process on Monday. The Tharoor camp manager, Salman Soz, has sent a complaint documenting the violations. The complaint has specifically pointed to Uttar Pradesh for what it has and what it's called egregious overreach by organizational leaders. The first non-Gandhi chief of the Congress in more than 20 years will essentially be named today as the counting of votes takes place in this internal election. Like we've been saying, the veteran Mallikarjun Kharge is seen as a favourite, the front runner, the official candidate. And Shashi Tharoor, of course, now has raised several red flags. Before we go across to my colleagues Ankit Tyagi and Sunil Prabhu tracking all the latest, let's quickly listen into what Salman Soz had to say.
I did not say complaint. I did not use the word complaint. I said communication. We've been in constant communication with Mistry Ji's office. We've informed them about IEIA. We've informed them about many different issues, and that is. But I cannot get into the specifics. The expectation is that the Congress party is going to emerge stronger.
So interesting reaction there coming in from Salman. So Sunil, to you first, Mallikarjun Kharge widely seen as the front runner, the favourite, the Gandhi-approved candidate, and now, Camp Tharoor has raised a huge red flag.
That's right. This is an important point that has been raised, especially in the case of Uttar Pradesh. And we haven't yet, because there is a strong room there, and nobody's allowed to keep cell phones, so we haven't got any confirmation whether they've kept the Uttar Pradesh box aside, because those norms that had to be followed have not been followed, as alleged by the Tharoor camp. So we are still waiting for Mr. Madhusudan Mistry and his team to confirm on that aspect. But nevertheless, as you pointed out, it's a foregone conclusion. All Mr. Kharge's supporters have already started making a beeline to the Congress office as well as to his residence. He is all set to be the first, elected Dalit president of the Congress party, non-Gandhi, after many, many years. And definitely the stage is set for his election, which is expected around 2 or 3 o'clock. We should expect a final, the first trend clearly to be indicated. But as I said, we haven't yet got a very categorical statement from Mr. Madhusudan Mistry whether that voting has, whether they're counting the Uttar Pradesh ballots, because he has, to a great extent, tried to play by the book any concerns that have been raised by Mr. Tharoor. And you must remember, as Mr. Tharoor pointed out, he's up against a mountain. Every time they've raised issues, be it number 1 or number 2, then they've changed the process to tick mark. This has been an election in which Mr. Tharoor has tried to meet the aspirations of the young Congress voters, talking to them about doing away with the High Command, about having elections in the Congress Working Committee, about trying to have a bottoms-up approach, something that Mr. Rahul Gandhi has talked but really never effectively been able to do in all his years. And it's in that context we'll have to wait and see how things play out.
All right. Well, Ankit, like we've been reporting, it is a foregone conclusion, isn't it? I mean, we've seen the way this campaign has panned out. We've seen the kind of swell of support for Mallikarjun Kharge, with this almost fear that has been instilled in the Congress cadre to not even show up for Shashi Tharoor's, public meetings, etc. Students and people from outside have been outsourced, to be brought there just to fill up rooms while he's sort of tried to campaign for this election. So it is a foregone conclusion in a certain sense, but this letter surely is interesting.
Well, anything in the Congress party, and our senior colleague Sunil would know better, that anything in the Congress party doesn't go down to the end without its fair share of controversies. And this today, on the day when the voting, the electoral process has ended, the counting in fact is going on. This would come as a big controversy ahead of this election. But Rishika, while all of us have been talking about that this is a foregone conclusion, interesting to see would be whether Shashi Tharoor, who campaigned and championed and positioned himself as the man who was bringing about the change that Rahul Gandhi was always talking about right from the time he was actively involved in politics, in decision-making in the Congress party. How many backers does he actually have? Is it going to be what happened 24 years back in 2000 when Jitin Prasada versus, Sonia Gandhi, where he got less than 100, in fact, votes? Is it going to be a whitewash like that, or would we see some interesting bits of the numbers that he can get for himself to, as far as those ballots are concerned? But very, very interestingly, let me also give you a sense of the Congress headquarters. Already, like Sunil was telling you, there are posters outside the Congress office already congratulating Mallikarjun Kharge. That gives you a sense of how certain people believe that his victory is. At the Congress office right now, few supporters, you'll see the Congress flag as well. More than the Congress workers and supporters, there is a massive media contingent as well. More buzz actually in the media about who's going to win this, because this process, remember, is taking place after 24 years. Sonia Gandhi, in those 24 years, just barring 2 years of Rahul Gandhi, has been at the helm of the affairs. And for the first time in this long period, there would be a non-Gandhi president. Whether it is going to be as many are calling him somebody who is close to the leadership, status quo would continue with Mallikarjun Kharge, or can Shashi Tharoor, in some way deliver some kind of a hope, a message that, the much talked about internal democracy in the Congress is well functioning and still delivering?
Before we talk a little more about the macro picture as far as this election is concerned, which, like I said, is interesting. The optics of it are interesting, coming in at a time, when the Congress is facing a huge internal crisis. There is, of course, a reluctant leader in the form of Rahul Gandhi, who's leading his own Bharat Jodo Yatra. Many say it's happening in a parallel universe. But Sunil, I want to just come back to the specifics of the big development we're tracking at this hour, which is that letter that Camp Tharoor has in fact written. And, it's pretty serious, because it talks about, quote unquote, extremely serious irregularities in conduct, unofficial seals used for ballot boxes. I mean, this in a certain sense is a huge allegation that would undermine the process entirely.
And also, for many who don't understand the Congress Electoral College, the largest chunk come from there. That is nearly 1,000 votes are from Uttar Pradesh. So that's something that has to be taken into account. And definitely, he raises an important point. But as I said, Mr. Madhusudan Mistry, who has been the Chief Election Authority, has and his team have tried to play and ensure that there's a level playing field despite the many odds, and the fact that there has been a message that has been sent, that Mr. Kharge is the unofficial candidate with the no less than the Congress General Secretary in charge, Mr. K.C. Venugopal, asking him to file the nomination. So it's been an uphill task for him. He's raised some important points, not only in Uttar Pradesh as well as in Telangana, giving specific cases of 3 instances. And as I said, we haven't yet got an official confirmation whether they're not counting Uttar Pradesh, because if the polling is going as per expected norms, where there is a resounding victory that is expected, then do you need to do a recount in Uttar Pradesh or not? These are issues that will have to be looked at, and have they kept the Uttar Pradesh ballot aside? These are some aspects that need to be looked into. And definitely will be addressed. But I think the most important question that you need to really ask is, what will Kharge do onwards? How does he take it forward? He's going to be the first non-Gandhi, non-Gandhi Congress president. And what does he take from here? He's got Gujarat and Himachal Pradesh elections where the Congress has been low-key. There's been an in charge in Himachal who's busy with the BCCI. He's also the vice president. The list was declared yesterday instead of people who have been campaigning, as we've seen in the case of the BJP, right through with a series of visits there. Here we have had only Priyanka Gandhi once do a campaign. And it's up against where, the Himachal has always tried to return once the Congress, once the BJP. And this time round, it's the Congress's turn. And whether they will be able to succeed or not is another big question. Having said that, it then comes to his own home state of Karnataka, where elections are due next year. And then, of course, Rajasthan and Chhattisgarh. Before that, the present Congress Working Committee will resign. And they will be formed, and they carry on as a screening committee before a plenary session is held. And the big question that Mr. Tharoor had been talking about, elections for the Congress party, in the working committee, in the CEC, in the Congress Parliamentary Board. These are boards which we'll have to see, which Mrs. Gandhi or Rahul Gandhi refused to have elections for in the last 2 decades. Whether he will follow Mr. Sitaram Kesri, who did an election in 1990. Session in Calcutta. The earlier occasion to have an election was in Tirupati. So these are issues that need to be addressed, because if you really need to bring in that democracy, if you need to take the Congress party forward, these are crucial questions which will need to be addressed by Mr. Kharge. And apart from, of course, what will be the role of the Gandhis? Will it be remote control? How do they take these decisions? Because Mr. Rahul Gandhi himself has been taking decisions, even though he has not been president. Any important decision, Mrs. Sonia Gandhi refers it to him, and only then does she sign on the final dot.